Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good morning, everybody. It is very important to pack things properly, pick precisely, and form various containers to suit the shape of the products, so that you will not have unnecessary volume occupied by the packing material. And with modern automation and IoT and artificial intelligence, lots of modernizations are taking place in process industries, particularly in food packaging and pharmaceutical sectors, even in electronic world, where you need to keep very attractive packages with proper shape, taking the shape of the product itself. So, this has become the style of the day, and exactly at this point vacuum is going to play a very important role. That is the reason today we will discuss the role of vacuum in modern packaging, picking precisely, and forming various types of containers for packing. So, all these three items are in a way related, and fundamentally also they are related because they are coming from the force concept generated from producing vacuum. Vacuum produces force, I have told you in the beginning of vacuum technology course. F is P2 minus P1 into area type of thing, that you can use it for forming various soft plastic sheets with a little bit of heating into various shapes, which are actually packing material or containers. And you can also use this force to pick precisely without any confusion, without any what you call a rough way of handling. And finally, you can also pack them without any air inside or moisture inside. So, all these things are related to each other. In packaging, of course, the force concept is also used in folding things, etc., and also the chemical concept in additional concept, which is not there in forming or picking. In packaging, that is also used, because in vacuum packaging certain biochemical reactions do not take place, and the shelf life of food products or any other sensitive products will be enhanced. So, these three I have clubbed them into one lecture, that is vacuum packaging, picking and forming. The level of vacuum is not much, because it is only P2 minus P1, one side is 760. So, it hardly matters other side whether it is 10 power 1 or 10 power minus 1 or minus 2. Normally around 100 to 200 millibar is good enough, maybe sometimes 10 millibar if there is some chemical aspects. So, the level of vacuum is not much, but if the speed of automation is high, then pumping speeds have to be more, because every time you have to bring it to atmospheric pressure and again change the sample and again bring it to bring the whole pressure to a acceptable vacuum, and again do your operation, whether it is a picking or packaging or forming, repeat it again and again. So, naturally the pumping speeds have to be matched, controls have to match. So, ruggedness of the pump is very important. We will see all these aspects in this lecture. So, the concepts that are covered here are vacuum based food packing, modified atmosphere packaging, where vacuum plus filling with some gas convenient to that particular process, then vacuum thermoforming and picking of very sensitive foil wrapped products in a gentle manner using vacuum, and quick labeling in a mass production using vacuum clutches, and cartoon folding using vacuum, and stacking and palletizing, that means so that it can be shipped in a very sturdy manner. So, that is called stacking and palletizing using vacuum. Then for all this you can design some central vacuum stations. You need not have a pump for every small application. Entire industry may have several stations. So, there can be a common central vacuum station that we will see at the end, and then we will see the conclusions highlighting various aspects of vacuum related to packaging, picking and forming. So, if you look at this type, you can see it will be watery in your mouth, because very nice looking sweets and various types of bakery products and veg and non-veg products are here. Their shelf life has to be increased, because in modern world the production is done somewhere, then a long transport, then storage and finally consumption. So, these are all separated by some finite time intervals. So, food packaging is going to play a very important role in modern society. This packaging is nothing but removing air from a plastic bag or some other container and keep your food or pharmaceutical things or some other chips or IC or some small sensitive electronic components, and then again seal it. Sometimes you may have to remove the air and fill it with some other gas, then it is called modified atmosphere packing. There also we initially use vacuum. So, you modify the atmosphere, basically the atmosphere is replaced by vacuum and again modify it with a gas which is acceptable for that process. So, in all these operations you require a vacuum in the range from 760 torr to maybe 10 torr. If necessary, you may have to go up to 1 millibar type of thing. The figure shows typical commercial products. This is a vacuum packaging machine of these products, and these are various types of forming, vacuum forming. Here the shape of the plastic bag is taking the shape of the food item itself. That way the volume left over is less. So, the whatever bacterial interactions in the shelf life will be minimum, because there is not much air left over. So, it is sort of combination of vacuum forming and vacuum packaging also here. So, this is a typical vacuum pump that will be connected to your system. So, there are varieties of vacuum packaging machines commercially available, and the pumps that are going to be used here, they may increase their body temperature, because repeated operations swinging from atmosphere to 1 millibar type of thing, and duty cycle may not be much, because it is not like few seconds in electronic type of thing, it is few minutes, because there are some physical operations, that is medium, and the pump should be able to handle little bit of fine dust that may enter during keeping things, etc. That is little high, and in rainy season or some products themselves may have watery substance. So, that way the moisture loading also may be little there in a medium scale. So, that is shown here, which will decide what type of pump that we normally use. Typically you can use rotary vane pumps, but you have to take care that this being food and pharmaceutical type of things, the oil vapor should be as minimum as possible, and that should be removed at the site of the packaging, etc., through suitable filters. Or recently there are good quality dry pumps available without any lubricating oil, like screw pumps and claw pumps, etc. These dry pumps are much better. Depending on the cost of the product and your budget, you have to decide these pumps. They are not very difficult, very ultra high vacuum pumps. So, this is a sort of introduction to vacuum based food packaging, where you are trying to remove air in a closed plastic container and either retain it in the vacuum or purge it with some foreign gas. That way you will have either vacuum packaging or modified atmosphere packaging. These are now commercially available, and lots of improvements are going on with IoT protocols and artificial intelligence and automation, etc. That way the modern life is going to be full of these vacuum based packaging, picking and forming machines. In fact, startups can easily start in any country on this type of activities, because they are not very costly activities. You can, with a little bit of budget, you can start this startup in a small scale in an area surrounding to that, those clients you can serve easily. So, that is what I have already told you in the last slide itself, the modified atmospheric packaging. It is slightly different from vacuum packaging, in the sense you evacuate and then replace it with some gas. It can be oxygen gas that helps to retain the color of some food like meat, etc. But sometimes if you keep lot of oxygen for a long time, it may cause oxidation, that should be avoided. So, depending on the style of food, depending on the style of application, you have to change whether you will fill it with oxygen or carbon dioxide or nitrogen. For example, carbon dioxide slows the growth of bacteria, but sometimes it is absorbed on the food itself. That way suddenly pressure falls down and the package may collapse. You have to take care of that. You may have to use some mixture of this plus that. Okay. Then nitrogen is used to replace some of the oxygen, so that oxidation is less. At the same time, some bit of oxygen is there to keep things fresh. It is like diving gas with helium and with some oxygen, both are important, so that they will have their own roles. Similarly, here also we can have a modified atmospheric packaging. There are automated machines available nowadays with this pump, and variety of products, whether it is a bakery product or fruits or vegetables or foodstuff or meat or any other thing, seafood, poultry. It is also possible to make things for chemical and small scale and pharmaceuticals. Nowadays, electronic components also packed very nicely, and I will show you little later. And even small chocolates, how they are packed, how they are lifted, you will see as time passes how vacuum is going to play a very gentle and important role. So, the modified atmospheric package is heavily applied in bakery products, in all these products, fish, seafood, fruits, etc. The pumps can be again either screw pumps, which are very dry, which are coming up in the market in a big way, and if the pump has to be located far away, then you see, we have seen the effective pumping speed goes down with the conductance of the pipe. So, if the pump interconnecting pipe is long, then you may have to use a booster roots blower, so that you will have sufficient pumping speed at the site of packaging or picking or forming. So, that designer has to take into account. Here of course, pump temperature will not be high, but it is a heavy duty operation with a medium cycles, and a little bit of dust tolerance it has to have, and of course, moisture it has to handle. So, how do you design pumps? How do you design the automation, mechanisms of lifting, packing, all these things electromagnetically, electropneumatically, you have to do this along with vacuum and conductances, effective pumping speed calculation, some physics, some chemistry compatible to the food processing, and unnecessarily you should not over design. All these things you have to take care, and there are quite a good of design protocols available, and if you are thinking of doing something, you can contact us also. Depending on your application, we can suggest based on our experience. So, let us go to an interesting aspect called vacuum thermoforming. Even simple containers like this, or even the glasses, plastic glasses, they are all mass produced using this technology. You go through the write up, I am not going to read out. It is just basically a plastic sheet. It is preheated by a heater and then kept here in this shape. This is called mold cavity, and you suck with a vacuum pump through these fine holes. Then automatically this hot thin thermoplastic sheet takes this shape because of suction force, and then stops heating and it starts cooling. It takes the permanent shape, and again break the vacuum and remove this, and again go to this first step. Like that it will be cycled operation. and you will get glasses, cups made out like this. It can be very thin plastic sheets or little thick sheets. Depending on that, the pumping capacity and the mold and the sheet material and the heating elements have to be designed. These are variety of products made out of vacuum thermoforming. They are the containers, and these containers are made by vacuum forming, and they are sealed with the food or whatever product again with vacuum packaging, and they are picked with vacuum. So, most of the operations are done under vacuum. For example, very gentle way of picking very small chocolate type or bakery type of products are done using a series of suction ports with necessary suction caps specially designed to match the shape of that product, and it can just pick it up from the table without leaving any debris very gently. And since several things have to pick it up, you have to have a central vacuum station connecting to a common line with various pickup points at various junctions. These things can be made easily because vacuum level is not much. If you make it little bit of vacuum tight joints with plastic things, ferrules and flare joints, you can get necessary vacuum. You do not have to worry about fine leak rates here. So, this is basically a suction components are soft food grade bellows style. Why bellows? Depending on the shape that adjusts to the top surface of this product, okay, and it picks up very gently and transports it. And they are designed for high speed packing and high speed transporting and picking up. This is an automated operation which is very much required in process industries nowadays, particularly in food industries or pharmaceutical industries. Then sometimes even the pasting of labels onto the products can also be done using vacuum. That is what this video shows. This is the label that comes out, and it is held here with this vertical connected to a vacuum pump here like this, and this vacuum suction holds this and it comes down and it sticks to the product, and vacuum is released and the product goes out, and again the cycle repeats. Okay. This is called vacuum labeling operation. I will show you little bit of animation. You focus on this. Okay. Label came, it got connected there and pasted there, and vertical move up and down. So, all the operations are automated. This is using vacuum pumps connected to the side with a small pipe. So, how to design all these things, I leave it to you, because you can have your own design. You do not have to exactly do like this. Depending on your budget, you can make it. This is a very useful thing in industrial labeling. Similarly, large scale packing, you may have to use vacuum based cartoon folding. It takes the flat cartoon from a stack here to its vacuum cups connected here like this, holding it like that because of suction. P 2 minus P 1 into this area gives you the force. Gently you take out and then wrap it using various techniques. Here again pneumatic techniques or vacuum techniques inside, and finally send that, and if necessary you can pack it and also seal it. So, this type of things are regularly done in industrial environment for cartoon folding. Later I will show some animation for this also. These things use rotary vane pumps, and if pumps are far away connected, you may have to use roots blower as a sort of enhancement of the pumping speed. These are coming in almost many industries dealing with cartoons, where you keep your products in a safe manner and then stack them, that is called stacking into big wooden structures, so that they will not move loose and you send it through a shipment. So, stacking and palletizing, that palletizing word is just these stacked packed things, how do you keep it nicely onto some wooden frames with minimum gaps, so that density of this packing is quite good, and with minimum volume they can be kept in a trolley or a train or a ship, etc., for further transporting. And this is a sort of vacuum robot, or rather vacuum robotic arm, because the arm is basically manipulating the operations of picking. Apart from forming that we have seen packaging, now it is main role is picking, stacking and palletizing. So, let us see this with the help of a animation. See, now things are coming up, and then vacuum suction is there, and it picks this product nicely because of pressure difference, lifts it, nothing will fall because of P 2 minus P 1 into area, and turns it back here and nicely stack it here nicely. So, this way precise picking, stacking, everything is done using vacuum suction hood. Okay. So, this sort of industrial robotic arms using vacuum technology, that is shown here in the right side, they are commercially available and you can make it in your workshop. Fundamental principles are same. You have to use proper seals, proper materials and proper lubrication here and there, etc., and in a neat looking thing. This itself can be a startup. Okay. That way I would say this is one of the upcoming areas in a industrial automation. Okay. Because very large scale continuous operation, you cannot do things manually. So, vacuum is going to play an important role in industrial automation. Okay. Okay. Before I conclude, I would like to show how exactly we are going to do all these operations: picking, palletizing, stacking, or even packaging, various operations. Well, you cannot have a vacuum pump next to you every time. So, in industry what they do is there are several stations doing similar operations. So, in the basement you can have a central vacuum station with lots of pumps. Here 4 pumps, out of that 3 pumps will be on duty, 1 pump will be a spare, and another 3 pumps some other time. If suddenly loading is there, all 4 pumps can be connected. So, depending on the load, several pumps can be connected or not connected, with some automation here with necessary IoT protocols, etc. And there is a buffer vessel, so that even if the pump is in transient mode, it is unable to produce vacuum very fast, the buffer volume serves like a capacitor and enough vacuum will be maintained here. So, buffer chamber is very important, and this goes to various stations. I have shown you here various stations like this. All these things are connected to a central vacuum station. There, depending on the demand, depending on the length of the suction line, depending on number of caps, and depending on the production rate, rather packing rate, you have to change the design, because pumping speed of the pump, conductances of the piping network have to be worked out. Most of it will be in laminar flow, because it will be around 10 to 20 millibar. So, we do not have to bother about viscous flow, and you can use the laminar flow conductances and effective pumping speed calculations. But of course, the people who are going to make startups here, they have to be very careful, because they are handling various types of materials, plastics on one side and food materials and design principles and pumps on one side, interconnecting pipings. So, if you know all that, it can be a very good success story in a industrial environment for labeling, carton folding and stacking in a very big industry, and palletizing them for finalization of the packing and send it out for transport or shipment. So, this is how vacuum is playing a very important role. So, let us conclude now. Vacuum is going to play a very important role in the upcoming days, particularly in modern industries for food packaging under either vacuum or controlled atmosphere. Depending on the need, you should not have water vapor, or you should not have oxygen, or the partial pressure should be such that you can only have vacuum of 10 millibar or 100 millibar, or your idea is only to use the force due to pressure difference in the picking operation, then even 100 millibar is okay. If the density of the material is less, like cartons etc., you do not have to go for high vacuum. And if some hard things have to be shaped, then you may have to go for good vacuum. And while doing that, you can use these vacuum pumps for degassing operation also, same pumps. So, that way if you have a central vacuum station for packaging, forming and picking, you can also utilize parallelly some operations involving these plastics and components, because several components you can start manufacturing like this. I will show you components. See, variety of components can be made using the vacuum forming. Only thing is you have to change this cavity according to the type of product. So, this way, why I am telling again and again these points are, this apparently simple application of vacuum in picking, packaging and forming is going to play an important role in our day to day society, because food is required for everybody, pharmaceutical things are required for anybody, packing materials, bottles, everything is required for human being. So, consumption is very high and quality also should be reasonably high. So, the person concerned must have a clean idea how to design the vacuum pumps, either you are doing in a controlled atmosphere or a vacuum environment. So, that is one conclusion, and vacuum based robotic arms can pick and pack products for transport with of course, some controllers properly designed, electro-pneumatic or electromagnetic controllers connected to your mechanical equipment working under vacuum conditions. Vacuum based thermoforming is gaining importance for cost effective, I repeat, cost effective plastic products, because nowadays plastics are also quite strong and unbreakable and quite good looking and food grade. That means, they will not decompose, they will not give any impurities to the food. So, that way this plastic thermoforming using vacuum based formers is going to play an important role. This is also important in electronic applications. You must have purchased several pen drives or many things in a plastic container, and it is exactly taking the shape of those things. That is possible in vacuum forming. Okay. So, it is having multifaceted role, vacuum forming, vacuum picking, vacuum packaging. It can be very fine scale in electronic industries, it can be very large scale in big wooden things to be lifted etc. In the next class, we will see how it is going to be used in a large scale wood industry, how it is picked up, how it is transported etc. Though principles are similar, but the magnitudes are different, the type of application is different, and that we are going to cover it in another class altogether. But fine foil wrapped products in a gentle manner, it is not possible by picking by any other route. It is only vacuum suction cups can give you beautiful way of picking, transporting and putting them into a container. And cost effective vacuum based equipment are routinely being used in cartoon folding and product labeling in various industries, various products for day to day life, even for various technological applications. Most of them they will be using this equipment for folding final cartons for packaging as well as labeling. Finally, you have to label made in this, made in that. There also we use vacuum suction hoods. Okay. So, thus in one sentence we can say cost effective modern vacuum based equipment is going to play a very important role in modern vacuum based industries involving IoT controls and artificial intelligence for various day to day applications. Okay. And with that, if I hope you have understood the importance of vacuum based food processing, food packaging or labeling of various products and shaping using vacuum forming and transporting them, and finally you can also use it for degassing in situ, and very gently you can do all these operations, and energy consumption is going to be also an important point here. Energy consumption is less here and reliability is very high and automation is very high speed. So, with these ideas I hope you understood something about vacuum packaging, lifting, picking precisely and vacuum forming various products for day to day life. Thank you very much.